the birch forests outside Tomsk, an elderly woman named Yevgenia Petrovna has been boiling the same black growth from tree bark every winter since she was 9 years old. Her grandmother called it the gift the tree grows to protect itself. Her neighbors, for 5 generations, called it something else. The reason their village rarely spoke the word cancer with fear. What grows on that birch trunk looks nothing like a mushroom at all. It looks like burnt charcoal fused into the bark, cracked and black, hard enough to need an axe to remove. This is chaga, Inonotus obliquus, and Siberian villagers have been drinking it as tea for over 500 years, long before anyone in a lab coat asked why. In 2010, researchers at Kyungpook National University in South Korea exposed chaga extract to human cancer cell cultures in a laboratory setting. The extract slowed the growth of those cells by triggering a process called apoptosis, the cell's own self-destruct sequence, not poison from outside, a switch flipped from within. That single finding sent phytochemists chasing a question the Siberians never needed answered scientifically. What is actually inside that black crust? Chaga contains one of the highest concentrations of a compound called betulinic acid, found anywhere in nature, higher than in the birch bark it grows on. The mushroom doesn't just live on the tree, it concentrates the tree's own defense chemistry and multiplies it. Yevgenia doesn't know the word betulinic acid. She knows her mother lived to 91, her grandmother to 88, and neither one ever stopped drinking the tea. Chaga isn't rare, exotic, or expensive. It grows wild across the entire northern hemisphere, including forests in Canada, Minnesota, Maine, and Scotland. You may have walked past it without knowing what you were looking at. The Kyungpook study wasn't alone. In 2009, a separate team published findings in the International Journal of Medicinal Mushrooms, showing that polysaccharides extracted from chaga stimulated the activity of natural killer cells, the immune system's own hunting cells, the ones responsible for identifying and eliminating abnormal cells before they multiply. In laboratory models, chaga extract didn't just slow harmful cell growth, it appeared to wake the immune system up. For decades, Western medicine assumed the value of a plant compound was in attacking disease directly, the way a drug attacks a pathogen. Chaga doesn't seem to work that way at all. It works like a messenger, reminding a system that already knows what to do. Chaga carries one of the highest ORAC antioxidant scores ever measured in a natural substance, over 36,000 units per 100 grams in some lab tests. For comparison, blueberries measure around 4,600. That is not a small difference. That is chaga sitting in a category almost nothing else occupies. Chaga carries one of the highest ORAC antioxidant scores ever measured in a natural substance, over 36,000 units per 100 grams in some lab tests. For comparison, blueberries measure around 4,600. That is not a small difference. That is chaga sitting in a category almost nothing else occupies. Chaga has been shown in laboratory studies to reduce inflammatory markers and support healthy blood sugar regulation in animal models, with some trials showing blood glucose reductions of over 30% in diabetic mice after chaga extract administration. A wild fungus growing quietly on tree bark appears to support two of the body's most important defense systems at once: cellular regulation and immune response. Chaga is only harvested from live, mature birch trees, never dead ones, and never young trees under 40 years old, because the fungus needs decades to concentrate its compounds fully. In Siberia, harvesters wait for late autumn through late winter, typically November through March, when the tree's sap has withdrawn and the birch's own defensive compounds are at their most concentrated inside the growth. The soil beneath the tree matters more than people expect. Birch grown in cooler, nutrient-poor northern soils, the kind found across boreal forests in Canada, Scandinavia, and Siberia, produces chaga with measurably higher betulinic acid content than birch grown in warmer, richer soil further south. You'll know chaga is ready by sight alone. The outer crust is black, deeply cracked, almost charred looking. Beneath that crust, the interior should be a rich orange-brown, dense and cork-like, never soft or crumbling. Harvesters use a hatchet or hand axe to cut the growth away from the trunk, always leaving roughly 20 to 25% of the base intact, so the fungus regenerates over the following 5 to 7 years, instead of dying with the harvest. Once cut, chaga is broken into fist-sized chunks and dried slowly, away from direct sun, for 2 to 4 weeks, until it's completely hard and moisture-free. Properly dried chaga stores for years without losing potency, which is exactly why Siberian households have always kept a supply through the coldest months. Making the tea is almost embarrassingly simple. Simmer a fist-sized chunk of dried chaga in about 2 liters of water for 2 to 3 hours. Not a hard boil, just a slow simmer. The water turns a deep reddish brown, closer to coffee than tea. You can reuse the same chunk 3 to 4 times before its compounds are exhausted. Commercial chaga, sold as powder in most stores, rarely matches wild harvested chunks in potency. Much of it comes from cultivated mycelium grown in tanks, which contains only a fraction of the betulinic acid found in wild growth on a living tree. Wild chaga takes 15 to 20 years to reach a harvestable size on a single birch tree, and once removed properly, another 5 to 7 years to regrow. Across parts of Eastern Europe, unregulated overharvesting has already begun depleting wild populations in accessible forests, driving some suppliers to source from increasingly remote stands further north each year. Dried wild chaga chunks currently sell for between $40 and $90 per pound in specialty markets across North America and the UK, depending on origin and grade, a modest but real income for small-scale foragers in Canada's boreal forests, Maine, and parts of Scotland, where interest in wild harvested chaga has grown steadily over the past decade. What sits in a Siberian teapot tonight is not a trend. It's 5 centuries of a village paying closer attention to its own forest than most of us have ever paid to anything. If there's one thing to take from this today, it's this. Go find out whether birch trees grow within driving distance of where you live. That's it. Not a purchase, not a commitment, just knowledge. Because the next time you walk past a birch trunk with a black, cracked growth on its side, you'll know exactly what you're looking at, and exactly why a village in Siberia has never stopped boiling it into tea.